Hello and welcome to Billy Ho Sports. We are coming at you this weekend at Fairgrounds Park for the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. It's a huge Derby prep. We're starting to bump the points levels up a little bit. Now we're up to 50 points to the winner. Pretty soon next month, we're going to get to those big monster 100-point races. So be on the lookout for those coming up. Billy Ho is going to have all your coverage for you, so you're squared away. This field is loaded. We got Track Phantom, Anna Marie, Sierra Leone. I've got playlists to cover the Derby Trail. I got playlists to cover all the thoroughbred stakes racing this year because I will be covering like the 4-year-olds and up. I will be getting into the fillies for the Kentucky Oaks coming up pretty soon. So be looking for that as well. Also, remember to subscribe to the channel. Much appreciated. That gets Billy Ho noticed. Share it with some friends, all that good stuff. Smash that like button, helps a lot. Setting your notification bell helps you because you don't miss out on any of the action. And finally, comments are always important, always welcome. Give me an upset pick if you don't like Track Phantom. Let's go. All right, we've got a full field of 12 going this week. Beginning with Tiz, I'm going to go real quick through the first couple. Tizzy Indy feels like the connections are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole here. He did run against Track Phantom and Nash last month, but didn't fare very well at all. I don't think this one's ready, so I'm going to pass. Number 2, I kind of feel similarly about Awesome Ruta. Doesn't have enough speed to keep up with these. It's going to try to do a stalking. The worst of, say, your 3 typical, you got your early speed, and then you got your stalkers, and then you got your closers. And that stalking is the worst chance of all 3 to win the race. So pass on that one. That brings us to number 3, Honor Marie, 3-year-old debut. Trainer Whit Beckman. That win at the Kentucky Jockey Club back in November was the last time we saw him. Was an impressive closing effort, though, to say the least. Had a moderate pace, so it didn't exactly set up all that great for him, but he rallied to beat Real Men Violin in the stretch with a strong closing effort. Might not be the top win contender here, but should be picking off horses late in the race and could grab a slice. Number 4 is Sierra Leone, Chad Brown, trained, lost by just a nose to Dornoch in the Grade 2 Remsen Stakes. That was up at Aqueduct. Sired by Gun Runner, will be coming off the pace as well, picking up Tyler Gaffaleone in the saddle. And Brown will also add blinkers to help settle him in a better spot so he doesn't have to come from, you don't want to come from last to first in this race, especially at Fairgrounds. It's like you're either first or you're last, Ricky Bobby, because you need to be up there early. And closers can get it done at this distance. Don't get me wrong. They win at almost the same clip as front runners, but that it might not be the case this week with horses like Track Phantom in the race. So you definitely don't want to be too far back. So that's what's going to happen there. Big chance to win for that horse, I think. Sierra Leone, one of my top choices. Moving on, number 5, Moonlight for Todd Pletcher. Gets a new rider, Florent Geroux. 4th in the Remsen. Coming from behind, he took the inside rail in that race and was actually briefly threatening the leaders for a minute. And then before Dornoch was going to win the race, he was already up ahead, but then was passed by Sierra Leone, and drum roll please, which is, no slouch effort there. But also you have to consider this. Moonlight is also cross-entered in race number 3 on the same card. That is an allowance race that's going to feature Derby hopefuls Nash and Ethan Energy. So that race could be just as important to the Derby Trail as anything else. I don't know if they think maybe it's a softer spot for Moonlight, but you're not going to get any Derby prep points. I'm pretty sure Nash and Ethan Energy's connections are thinking that they're going to be able to get it done. I think they need a get right race for Nash. Just briefly touching on that after the losses he suffered to Track Phantom, so get his confidence going again. Anyway, we're going to jump to number 6, Real Men Violin. Ran a second to Honor Marie in that Kentucky Jockey Club a while back for trainer Kenny McPeak. Remember, a couple weeks ago, McPeak had a big win with Mystic Dan in the Southwest Stakes. Real Men Violin is actually, footnote, the only horse in this race to defeat Track Phantom, and that was back in October at Churchill Downs in the slop going a mile. He took the inside rail, dug in down the stretch. Then he tipped wide to the outside of Track Phantom and outkicked him to the finish line. That's pretty impressive, in my opinion. So we are expecting some rain, above 50% chance, 50-60% chance. Don't know how significant that will be to the track conditions, but if it is an off track, I'm definitely going to give a little more credence to that race back in October. Also, that very same next race was the Kentucky Jockey Club, and he did almost the same thing. Got the inside rail, but was out kicked himself by Honor Marie in that race. So we'll move on to number 7, Hall of Fame. That is the entry for Steve Asmussen, hoping to make this step up in class. This is a good-looking horse, sired by Gunrunner. Hall of Fame recently broke his maiden by 10 lengths just 3 weeks ago at Fairgrounds. Really took to the surface, much like his stablemate Track Phantom. He actually set a faster pace. He ran on the same day when they ran the LeCompte, and he actually set a faster fractions in his win going the same distance than Track Phantom set in the LeCompte. So he is definitely one to keep an eye on, because there's two things that bode well in his favor. Is he's got speed and he's got success on the Fairgrounds track, and those are two kind of trendy kind of topics that to think about when you have success in the Remsen. Number 8, Catching Freedom, coming off the big win in the Smarty Jones on New Year's Day. If you remember back, I believe it was the Gunrunner Catching Freedom was entered in, and they opted out of that one to move forward to Smarty Jones. Smart move, good move. Brad Cox trained colt, tracking the pace, stalker, closer, hit the turn and was rolling down the stretch, and I had to laugh at him a little bit because he's just looking over at the crowd the whole way. If you notice down the stretch, he's got his head cocked, looking at the crowd down the stretch, which is a bit green. That's a habit that needs to be corrected. I'm not saying anything that it's a good thing, but he was still able to maintain his speed down the stretch. And then once he got his head focused, he just blew right by everybody. So, but he needn't be trying to do that in the stretch in this race. He's going to need all the horse he can get to giddy up. So, Brad Cox has won 3 out of the last 4 Risen Star Stakes. So Catching Freedom looks very similar to last year's winner, Angel of Empire. And he might even be more advanced at this point, because Angel of Empire ran second in the Smarty Jones, and obviously Catching Freedom won. So upgraded jockey to Luis Saez as well. Big chance to win for Catching Freedom. I'm not sure if the style is going to fit the course, and he doesn't have any experience at Fairgrounds. So that's also a small knock. Number 9, Cardinal. Young colt making just his 3rd career start for Todd Pletcher barn. Strong second place effort versus Change of Command a couple of weeks ago at Gulfstream. He and Change of Command battled deep into the stretch, and was the outside rival, got the win by a neck. But it's not a super big boost. Change of Command was actually in the last weekend's Sam F. Davis, but he ran a very disappointing 11th. He was up in the pace and then just faltered early, got tired early, really, and was no factor. But Cardinal does have some good early speed, so that should help his chances to maybe get a slice or at least stay in contention. So we shall see. Now, number 10, Resilience, is for trainer Bill Mott. Broke his maiden on New Year's Day, Gulfstream Park. He had a stalking trip, hit the stretch, won driving away. In his first stakes challenge, it appears to be a bit too tall of an order for him to go on, which brings us to the number 11, the favorite, Track Phantom, facing the outer post for the first time in his career. But I think his speed is too good early to be compromised by that. He also breaks from the gate. If you watch the last couple of races and the Lecomte and the Gun Runner before that, he breaks out so fast from the gate, like kind of like a runner coming off the blocks. You get a step or two over your opponents early, and you don't have to use as much energy to get out to the lead. So I don't think he'll have much of a problem getting out past everybody and over into the maybe the first flight. And he might have four wide at the most, but we'll see how he handles it if it is an off track, because he hasn't really faced one since that loss we talked about earlier in the slop at Churchill Downs. So he's had been pretty lucky as far as weather goes in his favor. I don't think he's unbeatable. He's definitely your favorite. I think there's plenty of late runners to challenge him down the stretch, a little more than the Lecomte had. And we are going a little farther. That is of note. Mile and a 16th is where he's gone in the last two. This is going to be a mile and an eighth. So an extra 16th should give time for some rallying. But I'll tell you what, if he can handle this field, he's obviously going to be the number one Derby contender. But the real deal Holyfield. But also you have to consider he's just running roughshod on maybe a horse for course type of thing where he's just dominating at Fairgrounds, and it's just he just can't lose at Fairgrounds. So we're going to have to see what happens when he goes to Churchill Downs, because after this, I don't know if he'll prep. He might prep one more time, but that would be here in the Louisiana Derby, as far as I can see. But anyway, we'll round out the field with number 12, B Dancer for Risen Star for trained by Dallas Stewart. B Dancer won at first asking on Fairgrounds, going just 6 furlongs. So this is too big a leap for me. He won at first asking 6 furlongs. Now he's instantly going to 9 furlongs, excuse me. So you're adding a lot of distance, half of what he ran. So it's like 1.5x what he ran in his first race. So I'm not really going to be too high on him. So basically what this amounts to, if you break down the race, I went through each contender, and the closely I looked at them, the field looks even more impressive to me, because even some of the ancillary pieces, which I'll mention here in a second, were pretty good. But my first tosses were the 1, the 2, like I said in the beginning. I went over them quick. And the number 9, I don't think is going to get there. And obviously the last horse I just talked about, B Dancer, that leaves 8 horses. So I went through and I just kind of started ranking them. I started with Anna Marie, and then I would move top to bottom, whoever's higher or lower. Obviously, the next up was Sierra Leone. We went to the top. And after going down and doing that for the field, I came out in the order of a 1 and 1A. Excuse me. Sierra Leone, Track Phantom. I think these two are really, really close. Then Catching Freedom, Real Men Violin are probably maybe tier 2. And then tier 3, I think Honor Marie, Hall of Fame, possibly Moonlight. And then you got down there Resilience, which is rounding out the 8 horses, I think, contend. And I think also that it might come down to track conditions, because if they get a bunch of rain and we get a sloppy or a muddy sealed track, I think that definitely favors Sierra Leone. I would mix in some Hall of Fame in that as well. He's got some mud background himself. Obviously, Real Men Violin has run in the slop at Churchill a couple of times. 1, he beat Track Phantom. 2, he ran second to Honor Marie. So he's got some experience there. So if it is an off track, I'm definitely giving Sierra Leone an advantage, because both Sire and Dam have a high percentage of mud and mud starts that are successful. And Sierra Leone has experience in the same conditions. So that's going to do it for the Risen Star. Appreciate you watching. Thanks for saddling up with Billy Ho today. And best of luck this weekend, and we will see you soon.